Science plays an increasingly significant role in our daily lives, making its faithful communication critical. Yet we are caught between researchers using highly esoteric terminology and a public demanding a simplified narrative. The reality is that modern science is intrinsically complex. To truly understand it, we have to stop expecting neat, easy stories and accept that complexity as a baseline. Evaluating new developments requires a willingness to engage with statistical error and embrace uncertainty. But before we can process the math, we have to bridge the communication gap. That starts with fixing how we interpret basic scientific vocabulary. Ambiguous word choices are a primary source of public misunderstanding. Scientists frequently take colloquial words and assign them rigid, technical definitions, leaving anyone without proper training immediately confused. Take the term relativity. People often interpret it philosophically to mean that everything is relative and there are no absolutes. In physics, Einstein's theory is actually about finding a constant, invariant description of physical phenomena. He agreed invarianton theories was a better name, but relativity was already entrenched. The uncertainty principle is another frequently abused term. It does not describe human limitations on measurements. Instead, it describes a physical inability to precisely measure specific pairs of quantities simultaneously. Misinterpreting these concepts is engaging for political or philosophical arguments, but it shifts the public debate entirely away from what the science actually says. Even the word theory creates friction. The public uses it to describe a passing guess. But for physicists, a theory is a definite physical framework rooted in fundamental assumptions and borne out by successful predictions. In environmental science, global warming is an inherently problematic term. The name falsely implies that every single location on Earth will simply get hotter. Climatologists actually use the term to predict drastic fluctuations in both temperature and rainfall. Global climate change would have been a much more accurate identifier. Because of that ambiguous naming, skeptics can point to a harsh winter as evidence against the research, subverting the debate we actually need to have. Beyond vocabulary, the abstraction we see in modern research isn't a sign that the science is wrong. It is a necessary tool to meet the increasingly complex challenges that nature presents. In rapidly evolving fields like cancer and diet research, the researchers themselves often only partially understand the full implications of a new development. This is a map showing total ozone depletion over Antarctica. It demonstrates how science can resolve that initial uncertainty. Chemists were eventually able to detail the precise processes destroying the ozone layer, making the evidence indisputable. That period of uncertainty is a required stage of steady progress, not a flaw in the scientific method. To process that progress, the public must learn to accept the full validity of indirect scientific evidence. The telemetry retrieved from an unmanned space mission is no less legitimate than the data we get from a mission with astronauts on board. Furthermore, we have to understand the mathematical significance of results. Without statistical literacy, the public often misinterprets tiny data variations as massive intrinsic differences. Statistics and margins of error aren't something to fear. They are the exact tools we need to evaluate new facts fairly and rationally. Science rarely offers a simple story. When we demand that it does, the resulting description is almost always a distortion of the truth. To fix this, scientists must be willing to properly explain their mathematical results, and the public needs to be much more patient with the research process. Most developments reflect work in progress. Achieving real scientific literacy means accepting that nobody has the complete big picture right away. This video is brought to you by the IELTS-FOCUS, an English center specializing in IELTS preparation. Contact them on Zalo at 0847 705 973.